Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and on this video this afternoon there is lots to negotiate about. So I am just going to be talking with you about this topic, and then I'm going to delve into a bit more topics a bit later on in the video. So I've been reading reports today in the mainstream media, and they have said that UEFA have confirmed that Manchester United and Arsenal could get qualification for next season's Champions League if the season is to be void. So that would mean in that aspect, like the likes of Chelsea, Wolves, Tottenham, Leicester, Sheffield United, all of them, would not get qualification for the Champions League. They would go into the Europa League. As it stands at the moment, we're sitting fifth in the Premier League. We are sitting like 3 points behind Chelsea. And I think Arsenal are sitting ninth in the Premier League, and they're like 8 points behind Chelsea in that. 8 points behind Chelsea, yeah. But I think, UEFA have held talks with around 55 national associations over resuming the season. Don't forget, UEFA are planning, to play the Champions League final on August the 29th. Now, as you all know, the football has been suspended, since is it like the 9th or 10th of March. So it has been suspended now for over a month as the football, which is obviously, very, very disappointing. It's been suspended over a month. Obviously, the Premier League did have a meeting last Friday to establish plans for the remainder of the season. They held a meeting. And obviously, there was no talks of, the season finishing on the 30th of June because obviously, before they had this meeting, the Premier League did say they wanted to try and resume the season on the 6th of June. And, they wanted it to come to a conclusion by the 30th of June. But it wasn't mentioned in the meeting, the season finishing on the 30th of June. There was no debate on the issues of the pay cuts or the transfer windows, etc., etc. So I think, it does remain unknown, when the season is going to resume. But there again, I read recent reports today, and I think I saw it in Sky Sports a couple of days ago, which is a reliable source. And it did say, they are planning, to resume the Premier League on the 8th of June and get it completed within a 5-week period and stuff like that. So this is what it had said. Obviously, the Premier League have held quite a few meetings. Obviously, there's been talks, saying that Liverpool could be denied the Premier League title if the season wasn't to resume and stuff like that. As it stands at the moment, Liverpool only need 2 wins. 2 wins, to clinch their first ever Premier League title and to end their 30-year drought, because Liverpool are 25 points clear of Manchester City. I was also hearing a lot of narratives coming out saying that if the season wasn't going to resume, the teams that are in the relegation zone wouldn't be relegated. There was also rumours saying that, there could be 22 teams in the Premier League next season, and, up to around 4 or 5 teams could be relegated. But I did say, didn't I, it'd be interesting to see if the season wasn't to resume, how it would implicate the leagues and stuff like that. But I think even if the season wouldn't resume, I think, Liverpool would win the Premier League. Probably Leeds and West Brom would come up from the Championship and stuff like that. By the way, Liverpool, I think, are changing their sponsor, from New Balance to Nike. I think also to Watford and Newcastle are changing their sponsors. I think there's around 57 Premier League players' contracts that are due to expire on the 31st of June, or the 30th of June, the 30th of June, and they're set to leave on the 1st of July. So let's just put that into the equation. But like I mentioned anyway, revert back to what I said, on my other videos, 5th place is a Champions League spot, reflecting on Manchester City's ban from the Champions League for the next 2 seasons. Of course, Manchester City have appealed against that decision. They have appealed against that decision of Manchester City. But, it will be a long process, will the appeal and stuff like that. It will be a very, very long appeal. And obviously, it said, was it a month or so ago, that Premier League, could face a financial penalty of £762 million if the season doesn't resume on TV contract rebates. But, like I mentioned, top flight clubs, especially in the Premier League, are set to lose billions in revenues. And, due to this coronavirus crisis, it's going to obviously, affect a lot of clubs' transfer business. Obviously, I think a hell of a lot of clubs, will reduce their summer transfer budgets. Obviously, quite a lot of clubs will have to sell quite a lot of players, to generate money and stuff like that. But, we are in lockdown for at least another couple of weeks. I think we are in lockdown until May the 7th and stuff like that. Obviously, as you all know, they are trying to get a vaccine for this virus. I think, they are doing the trials for it tomorrow. There was a talk of an MMR vaccine or something like that. But it said it could take up to a year to get a vaccine, for this coronavirus. But yeah, not only football, a lot of sporting events, across the globe, obviously, got suspended, due to this coronavirus pandemic. So, yeah. So, yeah, this is what UEFA have confirmed, that Man United and Arsenal could get qualification for the Champions League if the season doesn't resume. But I think the season will resume anyway. I think it will resume anyway. Obviously, the season, when it does resume, will be played behind closed doors. So, but obviously, football is not the same without any fans. So that's the latest news on that. But I'd love Manchester United to get qualification for the Champions League anyway, because we've got qualification for the Champions League, that'd generate a bit more money into the football club. And obviously, we've got more chances of getting, players to the elite level if we get Champions League football. So yeah, that's the latest news on that. So now I'm going to delve into some news on Paul Pogba, because a bit more additional information is updated regarding Paul Pogba. So the news on Paul Pogba is that I've just actually read it in the Manchester Evening News, and they've reportedly said, we have failed to trigger that 1 year extension on Paul Pogba's contract. So as it stands now, he's only got a year remaining on his contract, because we've not triggered that 1 year extension on his contract, Paul Pogba. Now, also, I've just been reading the Daily Express, and they've actually said, the Daily Express, that Paul Pogba still wants to leave Manchester United. So he's still got the same perception, than what he had last summer. Because last summer, Paul Pogba revealed that he wanted to leave Manchester United because he was seeking for a new challenge, he said. And he even publicly admitted that he wanted to leave the football club. Revert back to last summer, Paul Pogba was relentlessly linked to a move to Real Madrid. The main explanation why his move to Madrid didn't materialise was reflected on, the substantial amount we put on him, because we said we wanted at least £180 million for Paul Pogba. So we was demanding just over double than what we paid for him from Juventus back in 2016. But his preference was a move to Madrid last summer, but Real Madrid were not willing to meet our £180 million valuation. So Pogba remained at Manchester United. Madrid, did recruit around 5 or 6 players in last summer and spent around 200 or 300 odd million pounds, but they're still looking to get, they still want to do more transfer business when the market reopens. They're also looking to offload players, they want to get rid of the likes of James Rodriguez, Dani Ceballos permanently. They want to get rid of Gareth Bale. You've got Karim Benzema, that's coming to an end of his career with Real Madrid. So let's just put that into the equation. But Pogba was talking a lot about Real Madrid last year, about him, playing under Zinedine Zidane's guidance, and that, he revealed it would be a dream. And I think Pogba's got a very, very good relationship with Zinedine Zidane. Also, too, Mini Raiola, his agent, he's got a good relation with Real Madrid. And don't forget, Mini Raiola's been talking a lot since the turn of the year, and reflect on some of the comments he said, Manchester United have been very, very critical of him. But he did say, didn't he, he'd love to take a great footballer to Real Madrid like Paul Pogba. Ed Woodward's had quite a few negotiations with Mini Raiola. He's had quite a few negotiations with Mini Raiola. Obviously, to try and resolve Paul Pogba's future and to stop him making public attacks against the club, because he's made several public attacks against the club since the turn of the year. But, some narratives, say, the same thing, and you'll get some other narratives, that are totally comparison to, what the others have said. Because there's other narratives, that are coming out saying, that Paul Pogba is expected to stay at Manchester United. It also, said recently, that the Spanish expert, can't pronounce his name, but he came out, did the Spanish expert, and he actually, said that Paul Pogba is expected to sign a new long-term contract at Manchester United, and he will become the club's leader. So this is what this was stemming from the Spanish expert. You've also had Alan Shearer recently coming out giving his verdict on Paul Pogba, and he believes that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has made a decision on Paul Pogba's future. And obviously, there's been a few players on our agenda anyway who could replace Paul Pogba at the football club. And, maybe we could, get less than what we paid for him if he does leave in the summer. because obviously, with all what's going on and that, we paid 89 million for Paul Pogba, so as it stands at the moment, he is our most expensive signing. And one of our highest paid players at the club, because Pogba is on around £300,000 a week at Manchester United. But we wouldn't want to get less, than what we paid for him. But there was reports emerging out recently saying that Pogba could just go for as little as £50 million. But we know Pogba is worth a lot more than £50 million. Don't forget, he responded to the criticism that he received from Graham Souness not too long ago, because obviously, Graham Souness has been persistently criticising Paul Pogba because Graham Souness is a former Liverpool player. But Paul Pogba did, respond to it recently. He's very, very adamant that, he didn't even know who Graham Souness was. He still doesn't recognise Graham Souness. He just heard he was a very, very good footballer and stuff like that. So, this is what Paul Pogba had said. But some people believe he's still on his way out of Manchester United. He's now into his 4th season at the football club, since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016. And analysing the vast majority of his performances, they've been very, very poor. And I've got to say, he has been very, very inconsistent. I think the best we saw of Paul Pogba was in that 3-month period when Solskjaer was the interim manager and stuff like that. But he hasn't only been linked to a move to Real Madrid. There's also been a lot of reports in the media, saying that, he's been linked with a return to Juventus because, like I mentioned before, Pogba enjoyed 4 good years in Turin with Juventus. But the vast majority of his performances at Man United have definitely not been totally comparison. In recent weeks, swap deals have been on the agenda, don't forget. Obviously, there's been talks of, De Ligt coming to Manchester United as part of a swap deal of Pogba going to Juventus. There's been talks of Aaron Ramsey coming to Man United as part of a swap deal of Pogba going to Juventus. And like I said, swap deals are very, very rare in the modern game. Yes, they are in that. He also gave an interview, didn't he, recently, to the United podcast, talking about, when he was an Arsenal fan, because Paul Pogba the other week, did admit, he was an Arsenal fan when he was younger. The main explanation for that is because of Thierry Henry, because Paul Pogba confirmed, that he loved Thierry Henry. He was also saying as well, that his mother always told him that he would return to Manchester United, because don't forget, Pogba left the football club back in 2012. We had him under the Alex Ferguson era when he was younger, but due to limited appearances, we let Paul Pogba go on a free transfer to Juventus, don't forget. But we made a mistake, getting rid of him when he was a lot younger and stuff like that. And Paul Scholes has recently come out and compared Paul Pogba, to Steven Gerrard. But yeah, there is still a lot of uncertainty over his future. But since he rejoined the club, Pogba's had a long-running transfer saga. Obviously, let's put into the equation, he endured a very, very difficult time under the Jose Mourinho era, did Pogba. And Pogba got one of his best wishes when Jose Mourinho left the football club. Obviously, PSG and Barcelona have inquired about his availability in the past. Pogba, has won 2 trophies with the club. He won the Europa League and the League Cup, did Pogba, with Man United in his first season, that was. But he hasn't experienced winning the league or the Champions League with us and that. But I said, didn't I, if we wasn't to get qualification for the Champions League, that could convince Paul Pogba to leave the football club anyway. So yeah, Pogba still wants to leave Manchester United. Fabrizio Romano, he's very reliable Italian journalist. He came out the other week and said that Pogba has got no intentions of buying out the remainder of his contract, because there was reports saying that, he could take a fee for transfer regulation and buy out the remainder of his contract for around £50 million. But now that is not currently going to happen. But I think we've actually said, we want at least £100 million for Paul Pogba. Some reports have said we want up to £150 million for the player. This is what, some reports have said. But, if we do get rid of him, we've got to get more money than what we paid for him, definitely. And, Pogba is, 27 years of age. He has still got a lot of years ahead of him, and there's still a hell of a lot of development in him and that. But, yeah. But, obviously, revert back to, before the football was suspended and that, there was reports coming out saying, like, Paul Pogba was interested in staying at Man United because he believes he can form a good partnership with Fernandes. Then you had Solskjaer saying in Austria that he believes that, Paul Pogba will remain at Manchester United next season. But, yeah. So United fans have got different perceptions on Pogba. Some United fans would keep him, and some United fans would let him go. So that's the latest news on Paul Pogba. Obviously, on my video that I did this morning, obviously, I give you the breaking news on it, didn't I? The Saudi Arabians are set to take over Newcastle because they are going to buy Newcastle for around £300 million. I think they are worth around, is it £260 billion, these owners, and they are led by Amanda Staveley, are the Saudi Arabians, they are led by Amanda Staveley, but they have paid around £300 million to take over Newcastle, or they are going to pay £300 million to take over Newcastle. But Newcastle have now got the richest owners in the Premier League. It got agreed on Monday between the Saudi Arabians and Mike Ashley. It got agreed on Monday, that Mike Ashley, will be selling, the club to the Saudi Arabians. Mike Ashley has been at Newcastle for around, is it 13 years now? Something like that anyway. But they're already making plans, are the Saudi Arabians. Obviously, they want to recruit Galactico players in, they want to get the likes of Edison Cavani in and from PSG and Dries Mertens from Napoli. They're interested in William from Chelsea. They also want Pochettino to replace Steve Bruce and that, the Newcastle. They've obviously, got Massimiliano Allegri on their agenda. But I mentioned to you on my video, didn't I, this morning, now Pochettino to Manchester United looks dead in the water, because Newcastle are now in for him. And he actually, could go to Newcastle, could Mauricio Pochettino. There's been talks that Rafa Benitez could possibly go back to Newcastle because Rafa Benitez endured 3 years with Newcastle. He endured 3 years with Newcastle, did Rafa Benitez. Very, very good manager, Benitez. He did resign last summer, did Rafa Benitez, but I think a lot of Newcastle fans were very, very disappointed reflecting on that. But now he's in China at Delaney Yifang, is Rafa Benitez. So yeah, possibly, they could get Mauricio Pochettino because they don't think like Steve Bruce is the long-term future for them. So yeah, they have, got the best owners now of Newcastle. They are the Saudi Arabians. They've agreed to buy the club for £300 million. But yeah, they are worth around 260 billion. Some reports have said they're worth over 300 odd billion pounds. But yeah, so Mike Ashley, is going to be dejected by the looks of things. If the sale of the club wasn't to go through, then I think it reportedly said Mike Ashley would be entitled to like £17 million or something like that. So I already give you that news, obviously, this morning. Obviously now I've been keeping up to date and that, of what's been going on with Jadon Sancho, and I've been talking to you a lot about Harry Kane on a regular basis. We do know now Harry Kane to Manchester United is dead in the water. There's a couple of main explanations why, Solskjaer's not interested in Man United getting Kane, because obviously, he believes Rashford's as good as Harry Kane. Plus, he says us signing Harry Kane could, make an impact on Mason Greenwood's development. And Kane is just too much money. £200 million is far too much money for Harry Kane. And like I said, there's been other strikers on our agenda that are much cheaper solutions than Harry Kane. It did fuel a lot of speculation up, last month when Kane come out and said, he could decide to leave Tottenham if they failed to match his ambition. And he won't stay at Tottenham for the sake of it. And recently it says from, I think, the Mail on Sunday that, Real Madrid are no longer in for Harry Kane. And Kane did say if he was to leave Tottenham, his preference would be a move to Manchester United and stuff like that. But James Cooper, who was a Sky Sports reporter, he said he's not on our list of transfer targets, is Harry Kane. So you can forget Harry Kane to Manchester United. There's some reports saying, though, that he could go for £100 million, which is obviously not half of the price than what they want, because Daniel Levy has said Tottenham will only let Harry Kane go providing that their £200 million asking price is met. But there's a lot more chance of Manchester United getting Jadon Sancho than there is of Harry Kane. Now, Jadon Sancho to Manchester United is looking very, very imminent. Obviously, it confirmed recently that Jadon Sancho has agreed personal terms with Man United. everything has been agreed except the fee. So we just basically now need to come to an agreement on a fee with Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund have come out and said they want at least £100 million or £120 million. But either figure is going to make him a record signing in the Premier League, and it's going to make him our most expensive signing and the most expensive British player in history. But it did say recently, that the length of Sancho's contract, his salary, his bonuses and his huge buyout clause have all been agreed. We just now need to come to an agreement on a fee with Borussia Dortmund. That's all Manchester United need to do. But we have been working on Jadon Sancho's contract for a couple of months now. It recently said back in 2017, this is before Sancho went to Borussia Dortmund, it said Man United were close to signing him, but obviously, decided to go to Borussia Dortmund. But I've got to say, since his arrival in Germany, Sancho, I've got to say he has been a revelation. Despite the fact he was dropped in quite a lot of games earlier on in the season. Sancho still got 2 years remaining on his contract with Dortmund. He's under contract with them until 2022, is Jadon Sancho. He did recently say, though, that if Jadon Sancho was to turn down a move to the Premier League, it says, that Borussia Dortmund were willing to offer him a new contract worth around £165,000 a week, which equates to around, £4 million per season. But yeah, they was willing to offer him 165 grand a week, so they're willing to give him a pay rise if he's to turn down a move to the Premier League. And Borussia Dortmund were willing to make Jadon Sancho their second highest paid player, because their highest paid player at the moment is Marco Reus, who is their highest paid player at the moment. But yeah, Jadon Sancho's already revealed that his preference is a move to Manchester United. Chelsea no longer in for him now. Chelsea looking to get a deal finalised for Philippe Coutinho, who's on loan at Bayern Munich at the moment. I think they've come to accept, that they're not going to get Jadon Sancho. But Jadon Sancho's actually a lifelong Chelsea fan, because he revealed that the other week. And Sancho began his footballing career in London. That's where he began his footballing career, with Watford. And he was at Watford for several years. Don't forget, it did say the other week, Jadon Sancho will reject a move to Man United if we fail to qualify for the Champions League, because we was relentlessly linked with Jadon Sancho last year. And it said last year that Dortmund inquired about getting Mason Greenwood as part of a swap deal of selling Jadon Sancho, but obviously, we're not going to let, Mason Greenwood go. So obviously, that's not going to happen. But I'm excited about, Jadon Sancho coming into Man United, because I think he'll go well alongside the likes of Greenwood, Rashford and Anthony Martial in our attacking line. I really, really do. And obviously, the beneficial thing about recommending him in is that, he's got a really, really good friendship with Rashford. I think they're in regular contact. Like I said, regarding Rashford, he's been a big miss for us this season. So too was Paul Pogba as well. He's been a big miss for us, because Pogba's only played 8 times this season for Manchester United. Obviously, due to his injuries. Don't forget, he did have the surgery back on his ankle in January. But, they have been big misses. Rashford's been out with a back injury since January the 11th, is it, if I'm right? But, he has been a big miss. And I give you the news regarding Rashford yesterday. It said he's finding it hard to train at home whilst on the coronavirus lockdown, because obviously he'd rather train on the training ground with Rashford. But he wants to, step up his fitness regime, because he's been out for a long time with this back injury as Marcus Rashford. And like I mentioned, he was one of our best players earlier on in the season. But yeah, Sancho would just go very, very well alongside that, Rashford and Martial and that. And he's well Premier League proven anywhere, because don't forget, Sancho endured 2 years at Man City, but never really got assured any first team opportunities at Manchester City. This is why I left Manchester City to join Dortmund. Dortmund only paid 7 or 8 million for him, so Dortmund are going to make a huge profit on the player, and he is predominantly a right winner. So yeah, what's going on regarding Jadon Sancho. I think if he comes to Man United, we'll give him the number 7 as well, because we have got number 7 vacant. But I think he'll operate very, very well in the number 7 role. I've also been keeping up to date recently, of what's been going on with Jack Grealish. He's been another player on our agenda. He said the other week, though, we dropped our interest in Jack Grealish because Ed Woodward's preference would be a holding midfielder, then rather than getting Jack Grealish in on the board. It also says Everton and I think Newcastle, he's another player on Newcastle's agenda, Jack Grealish. Also, too, I've been keeping up to date with what's been going on with Saul Niguez from Atletico Madrid. He's been another player on our agenda. I don't think we'll get Saul Niguez because we're not willing to pay what Atletico Madrid want because they want 133 million. I think that's his actual release clause in his contract with Atletico Madrid. Don't forget, was it last week, we inquired about Donny van der Beek from Ajax. James Maddison, we've been in for him, but James Maddison at Man United's looking very, very unlikely because I think James Maddison's going to remain loyal to Leicester. So there's been a lot of midfielders on our agenda. There's been quite a few centre-halves on our agenda as well, don't forget. Obviously, this morning I give you the news on Daya Upamecano. Allegedly, it says, we have overtaken Arsenal for the player. Reportedly, Daya Upamecano is available for like £35 million, despite the fact that he's got a 50-odd million release clause in his contract with Leipzig. His current contract expires next year. There's still some reports emerging out saying, that we do want a centre-half in. Despite the fact we've got a lot of centre-halves in the team, because we've got Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof that are our first-choice centre-halves. You've got Bain and Tuanzebe that are our backups. You've got Fosu-Mensah that can play as a centre-half. Jones, he's like our fifth choice centre-half. He's one of the players that's expected to leave when the transfer window reopens. You've obviously now got Smalling and Rojo that are out on loan. Smalling's on loan at Roma and Rojo's out on loan at Estudiantes. I think, we'll negotiate on getting rid of them on a permanent transfer and that. But it is good that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has revealed his plans for when the transfer market does reopen, because I like what Solskjaer said the other week, because he does insist that we will exploit the transfer market when it does reopen. So he believes Solskjaer, that we can get the right calibre players in. And we do want to make around 4 signings when the transfer market does reopen. We want to make around 4 signings because we believe we need around 4 signings to become title contenders next season. I think Ed Woodward's planning, to get around 4 signings in. Because obviously, Solskjaer's already identified the areas where he wants to strengthen up. I think he confirmed this, a while ago, the areas that he does want to strengthen up. But I've got to say, we have improved in the transfer market under Solskjaer. That's my admission. What I mean is, I think we have been a bit more sensible with our recruitment. Obviously, Solskjaer's endured 3 transfer windows at Manchester United. Didn't recommend anyone in his first transfer window, but in the 2 previous windows, he has recruited 5 players in and spent around £220 million on them. And obviously, Solskjaer's transfer strategy is, the policy of recruiting young British talent in and that. And I think a lot of people, do like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer strategy. But I think there's been a total, all in all, of around 14 or 15 players on our agenda. But, Solskjaer, does deserve at least a couple of more transfer windows, like I mentioned, because it is a transition period. And like I mentioned, we have been in transition for so long now. But Solskjaer revealed at the beginning of the year, he's hopeful that we can get through this transition period. But Solskjaer has got the backing of Ed Woodward, and he's also got the backing of the Glazers and stuff like that, because Ed Woodward has assured numerous occasions this season that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job is safe at Manchester United. But, if we get the right players in when the transfer market reopens, you'll have bigger expectations to exceed going on into next season, because like I mentioned at the start of this season, our expectations would have been to finish in that top 4 and possibly, get some silverware on the board. And we can get some silverware on the board this season. If it does resume, we can win the Europa League, we're into the last 8. We can win the FA Cup, we're into the quarterfinals. So I can credit Solskjaer for getting us there. We haven't won out yet in terms of silverware under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Also, too, he has been here 16 months now, so Solskjaer has been at the football club over the year. But he does deserve more time, does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Manchester United. I think he needs time to build the next great Manchester United team. He wants to build a team, that are capable, of getting us to where we want to be and that. And obviously, revert back to the Alex Ferguson era, we had such a great team because Ferguson, developed a hell of a lot of young players. But like I've said on my other videos before, not every manager settles in straight away. Jurgen Klopp, He didn't settle in straight away at Liverpool. It took him time, to emulate to a level that he's at now. Ferguson didn't win out in his first 4 years, when he came to Manchester United, when we recommended him in from Aberdeen. But look what Ferguson went and accomplished after 4 years of not winning anything. We won the vast majority of our silverware under Alex Ferguson. Obviously, he's the greatest manager of all time, is Alex Ferguson. But he enjoyed 26, 27 years at Manchester United and stuff like that. And it's obviously, since Ferguson's left, we have been playing catch-up for the last 6 or 7 years. And, we have been very, very inconsistent. But we've made quite a lot of mistakes in the last 6 or 7 years. It's probably not only the explanation, but it's one of the main explanations why we have been so inconsistent in that. Obviously, in the last 6 or 7 years, we've had obviously, different managers with different philosophies and stuff like that. And obviously, you've had Ed Woodward that's been criticised this season. He's been criticised for several years. But he's been criticised, like with his poor selection of managers. He's poor recruitment and stuff like that, because our recruitment policy has been very, very poor for the last 6 or 7 years or so. And he's also been criticised, for us overpaying for players, because we have brought, Galactico players in recent years. Obviously, we got Sanchez in, Lukaku, Pogba, 89 million, Lukaku 75, 80 million for Maguire, 50 million for Fred, 40 million pounds for Matic. So we are known for overpaying for players, and we spent close to the £1 billion range in the last 6 or 7 years or so. We spent a hell of a lot of money at the football club. But so 3 managers have been sacked since the Alex Ferguson era. That was Moyes, Van Gaal and Mourinho. So Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. But he does deserve more time. Like I said, I think Solskjaer's promoted the youth very, very well. The young players have been given their chances. He's also got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he's come in. I think around 9 players have left in total since he came in. Obviously, we expect around 5 or 6 to go when the transfer market does reopen. His approach to the big games throughout the course of this season, have been very, very good. So I've got to credit Solskjaer for that. So these are a lot of things, you can credit him for. But there again, there's a lot of things, that you can criticise him for. Like his approach to the small games often being good. Since he got the job permanently, his record has been disastrous and stuff like that. But, yeah. And obviously, you know the news regarding Diego Dalot, because I give you the news regarding Diego Dalot, didn't I? This morning as well. There's reports saying he could also leave Manchester United because he's fighting for his future at the football club. So there you go. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.